Different levels I cannot relate. You never win if you playing it safe. It's all a game until you get played.
Welcome back to It's Ghost Podcast. My name is Mark. And I'm the host of the show tonight. Thank you all for tuning in to the live stream. The Sunday night edition of this. We got some good topics tonight. There's a Pennsylvania judge. She's got herself caught up in something. A funeral home down in Texas, just treating people's families like spoiled meat. Some outrage way out in Idaho, and the mysterious helicopter unraveling in New York City that claimed the life of an entire family and the pilot. So those are the topics tonight. But first, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get all the updates. And as I say on all my shows, thank you all for tuning in. The channel keeps growing. We just keep growing. You all keep subscribing and helping me out. I appreciate that. I really, really do. So smash that like button, smash that share button, retweet this out if you're watching it on Twitter, if you're on YouTube. Hey, share this with your friends. help me run these digits up, okay? But let's get into it. And if y'all want to converse, the chat is open. The live chat is open, so y'all can converse in the live chat. But yeah, let's talk about it tonight. So as I was saying in the intro, a Pennsylvania judge has found herself in a lot of trouble. A Pennsylvania judge, Siemen. I talked about this last year when it first happened, when she first was arrested. She shot a boyfriend in the while he was sleeping in the head. Actually took his eye out, made him blind in one eye. And this wasn't the first time that she had been involved in a shooting when it came to a significant other. Back in 2019, it was alleged that she she actually shot her then boyfriend, I think a fiance or an ex-husband or something like that. But she shot him, and they ruled that one as self-defense, and she was never like really tried for anything. They just kind of swept that one under the rug. Well, this time she's back in the news again. Like I said, this was the trial part of it. She was arrested for this last year, back in early last year, like around February of last year. So we're gonna take a listen to this, and then we're gonna talk about it on the other side.
Judge from Dauphin County faces up to 60 years in prison for shooting her ex-boyfriend as he slept. A jury bust from Delaware County convicted Sonia McKnight of attempted homicide and aggravated assault charges. The shooting happened inside the victim's home in Susquehanna Township in February of last year. Prosecutors say he repeatedly asked McKnight to leave when their relationship ended. McKnight, now suspended as a magisterial judge, shot her estranged husband back in 2019 after inviting him over to help her move furniture. Police deemed that shooting self-defense and never filed any charges.
All right. So where do we start with this one? Clearly this woman had an issue with guns. Like I said, it was the estranged husband in the first case. And she invited him over. This situation, the man told her to leave. She didn't want to leave. She shot this man while he was sleeping and tried to get away with it. As a judge, now she's facing 60 years in prison. they're going to throw the book at this woman. They're going to make an example out of her. This man wanted out of this relationship, and she was willing to take his life for the relationship. I have absolutely no sympathy for this. If you have an out in a relationship, then you should take that out. There should be no physical violence ever escalating in a situation like this, especially when the other party is willfully allowing you to leave the situation and make it amicable. But too often, people get over emotional and they do something, and it costs them a split-second decision, costs them the rest of their life because they made a choice to go do something reckless without any regard for human life, especially in this case, because she could have killed this man. This man is asleep. That's why she got hit with attempted murder, because she actually went there to actually harm this man. She went there to take this man out. Now, I don't know how good of a shot she is. I don't know what kind of caliber weapon she used, but she put the man's eye out. He is permanently blind now in one eye. He gets to go on with his life, but with a permanent scar from a relationship that he had with a woman. A woman who, by the way, is supposed to be a officer of the court, a judge who's supposed to be out here doing the job that the people elected her to do. She wanted to be the judge, jury, and executioner. She was doing her own trials. In a situation like this, you got to go back and look at the one back in 2019 and say, did they get it wrong that time? Did she actually think that this time she was going to do the same thing? Because she tried to claim self-defense in this one as well. And then they said that the way the evidence was collected at the house, it was mishandled. Like everything was mishandled. So they tried to get the case thrown out based on evidence being not transferred properly, because they knew there was no way that they couldn't prove that she didn't pull the gun. They said that he had more gun residue. They tried to say it was suicide, that he tried to take himself. He was like, I ain't trying to kill myself. That's what the report was, that he tried to kill himself. At least that's what the narrative was trying to get painted. And this man is telling the people that please help him. Please help him. As he pled his case to the EMTs for them to save his life, and this woman tried to use the prosecution to get, the prosecutor tried to use the defense of he had more gun residue on him than she did. So clearly he pulled the trigger and shot his own eye out. She didn't do anything. The jury didn't buy that. They ain't buy it at all. And she found herself now looking at 60 years in prison. If she gets 60 years, she could basically, they just gave her a life sentence. I honestly think in this regard, she should get life. I don't think they should give her any luxury, any benefit of the doubt of being a judge, because in this case, in that situation, at that particular moment, she was not a judge. She was just Sonia McKnight living in Pennsylvania, just regular citizen. All the duties. Now she's suspended. Her license is suspended. Now, I don't know. She's been convicted now. I mean, why is her license suspended? She should be completely disbarred. How is she going to be allowed to practice law? I mean, is she going to be working on her own appeals? Trying to figure out a way to get out of this? very interesting case. These women are making some crazy decisions in positions of power. And it seems like a lot of them are getting in trouble these days. Just saying. So, let's move on. The next this topic, I don't even know what to say about this one. The funeral home in Richardson, Texas. There's a funeral home in Richardson, Texas, that a stabbing happened at between an employee and a customer, because the customer came in there and saw the conditions to which their parent was being treated inside of this funeral home, and they didn't like it. When you pass your family member on to a funeral home for them to prepare them for interment, you're expecting that they're gonna take great care of your loved one's body. That's all you want. We all have been there. I just did this with my mom back in October. Her body was in good care until we laid her to rest on November 12th. And she came from Ohio back to Georgia, so we had to use 2 funeral homes. So I am very, very aware, because I just went through this. I'm very, very aware of the care that you are giving and you are placing when you give a body to the funeral home. And what was going on at this funeral home in Richardson, Texas, is some of the most despicable and vile stuff that can be done to someone's loved one. And I can see why the person went to this funeral home furious. But I'm wondering why he got attacked by an employee at the funeral home. Let's take a listen.
The discovery of multiple dead bodies found in questionable conditions has led to a stabbing investigation at a Southwest Houston funeral home. KPRC2 first learned about this situation from a tip to our newsroom. We had obtained this cell phone video showing the dead bodies in what appears to be deplorable conditions. This all unfolded at Richardson mortuary near Alameda Road and West Fuqua in Southwest Houston. Investigators say an employee there stabbed a man who was concerned about his dead mother's conditions.
You heard what he just said. He just kind of laid the prelay to this. This is some of the most horrible conditions that you could find your loved one in.
KPRC2's Corley Peel joins us live now. She spoke with the families who are upset with how their loved ones were found. Corley.
Keith, the family that prompted this investigation said they were supposed to lay their loved one to rest tomorrow. When they showed up here today, they said the AC was not working properly. They could also smell a foul smell inside the building. HPD says 10 bodies were found inside, and they have now been moved to a different funeral home.
Absolutely disgusting. You come there, they smell, the bodies are just laid out everywhere. And this is you're already in the mindset that you gotta lay your loved one to rest, and you come there and you find them laid out, just no AC, nothing. What is going on at this funeral home?
Well, they just got people in these caskets in this building being worked on.
This is how Tamara McGruber Brooks found her mother and uncle's deceased bodies inside the Richardson mortuary.
Y'all got people check on them.
I saw my mom's casket, and I said, well, maybe that's not her casket. So I turned around, but then something said go back, and I raised it up, and I looked in it, and it was my mom. Had gnats off already on her. She was already sweating.
Before
gnats on the body? Gnats? What is going on? Rigor mortis setting in inside the funeral home. And this will be your loved one.
The discovery, crooks heard her mother's body may have been moved somewhere else.
And I have been sitting outside this funeral home or 4 days until I finally found her and had the nerves to go in there and not just find her, to find other people's bodies in there as well, after receiving $25,000 from us.
Crooks' family tried taking her mother's casket. Police say her brother was stabbed by an employee in the process who claimed self-defense. Police and other families of deceased loved ones rushed to the funeral home.
First of all, $25,000, that is a lot to bury somebody. So they must have tacked on a lot of fees, because that is a lot for a funeral, unless they doing the bells and whistles and had a bunch of stuff added in. I just don't see how that price is even feasible. I mean, at most $10,000, but they gave this funeral home $25,000 of a funeral home, of a life insurance policy. I hope so. This is a lot of money, and you watching your loved one just being taken care of like this.
Marietta Brown says she saw her grandmother's body on this video posted on social media.
And I was going to bypass the video there first, but I kept coming. And so when I looked, my grandmother was the second body on that video. And so I paused the video and I looked, and it was my grandmother.
HPD says 10 bodies were found inside the funeral home. Several vans came in and out of the crime scene to transport the deceased. Bobby Swearington is the CEO of the Fort Bend Memorial Planning Center. He says some of the bodies were moved to his funeral home. He says the Richardson mortuary was damaged during burial.
You noticed that there was a bit of construction that was taking place on the inside. There was they had some workers in there doing some jobs. I believe that the building had been damaged from the storm.
The owner of Richardson Mortuary is in the hospital after suffering a heart attack, according to HPD.
He's been hospitalized for a couple of weeks now at this point.
The families are hoping they can still peacefully lay their loved ones to rest.
She fed everybody. She'll give you the clothes off her back. And she was a fighter. She was in a wheelchair. She was paralyzed. And to see her arm kind of like draped it off that stretcher, it's heartbreaking.
I'm going to take a moment real quick. I can only imagine if my mom was in that situation. That you cannot at any given moment fathom what those people, the family members, are dealing with, witnessing, and already going through grief and mourning, and to have to deal with that. Now, the owner is in a hospital. He had a heart attack. I don't know if he had any other workers there. Somebody had to be working there. Somebody had to know that this was going on. Somebody had to know that these bodies were piling up. And if it got damaged during the hurricane, then why wouldn't the bodies move? Why wouldn't they move? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Just gross negligence. And if the man is in the hospital, you can't blame him because he had a heart attack. Can't blame him because he's not. I'm pretty sure he's recovering. If he's not, he might be, in a state where he's incapacitated himself. But this is a sad way for you to see your loved one, especially if you were planning to do the funeral the next day, and all of a sudden now nothing's done. How can you even get the funeral together? You got family members coming in. All of this stuff is going on. It's just complete chaos, and this is just unnecessary. And now you got to try to work with the insurance company because you got to pay another funeral home to finish this off. Don't know what they can do. It might just be closed casket at this point. Might just have to be. Might be at the point where you just do closed casket and just go ahead on, have a picture of her. No viewing. Sorry. Can't do it, man. Body's already too messed up. And that's a sad situation, man. A bad, bad situation to be in. So my heart goes out to those people down there in Richardson, Texas, because it just seems like you saw everybody that was talking. It just seemed like black folks always find our way getting the short end of the stick when it comes to stuff. Even when we trying to put our loved ones to rest. Can't even get that done right. Don't know who the owner was. We're not making this racial. Don't know who the owner of it. Could be a black person. Still, nobody should be treated like this. Nobody at all. And then I got this story, and I ran across this one, and I'm wondering why it's not getting a lot of outrage. There is an autistic kid in Idaho who was gunned down by the cops. Gunned down by the cops. This story, the situation, the reaction of the police officers, it's kind of reminiscent of Tamir Rice to me. Only difference is the cops ran up on Tamir Rice. He was in the playground. They shot him, gunned him down. This one, this was at point blank range. This was at point blank range. Within 10 seconds. 9 shots. 12 seconds to, we're just going to take a look at this one because this is sad and these people need justice. This is just completely reckless right here.
A split-second decision by police.
In situations like this, officers must make decisions in seconds. They assess threats, not just to themselves, but to those nearby.
A decision leaving a nonverbal autistic teen fighting for his life.
I hope it reaches out to many communities, even autistic communities too.
And a family demanding accountability.
Yo quiero la justicia, porque de aquí no me voy hasta que no vea la justicia de esos oficiales.
We're continuing to follow the recovery of 17-year-old Victor Perez, an autistic teen shot by police in Pocatello. As video of the incident circulates on social media, his family and community are speaking out, hoping to raise more awareness about autism while Victor remains in critical condition, fighting for his life. It started with this 911 call Saturday evening.
911 with Sarah City Emergency. There is a couple out back behind their shop brandishing a knife.
The caller reported that 17-year-old Victor Perez was trying to stab his family.
So this guy, he's pretty strong.
But Victor's family says that's far from what was really happening.
So the 911 caller called in and said that the guy was trying to stab his family and that he was drunk. That is what he is seeing.
¿Era el niño una amenaza a ustedes en particular?
No, la amenaza eran ellos.
Victor's grandfather, Luis Alicea, says that he was outside with Victor's mom and sister preparing for a barbecue when he saw Victor walking over.
Ese palo que está ahí, ¿no ves? Yo lo quería para picarlo para cocinar. Entonces yo veo que el niño, yo estoy aquí afuera buscando leña de esta leña que está aquí. Ahí. Y cuando yo vengo ya para acá, ya viene el niño. Mi hermanita vino con la escoba para ver si me quitaban el cuchillo.
He says Victor was holding a knife, but he didn't seem threatening.
Pero cuando yo vengo para acá, pues yo veo al niño que viene allá para acá con un cuchillo. Pero yo no sé si él viene a jugar conmigo, a traerme el cuchillo para ayudarme.
In a press conference, Pocatello police say they arrived on scene responding to what they believed was a dangerous situation.
The risk was immediate and the situation rapidly evolving.
They said the situation was immediate and it was rapidly evolving. Now you just saw one cop jump out the car. Let's keep going.
In a social media video recorded by a witness, you can see Victor swinging the knife. PPD says Victor was armed and refused to follow orders.
Officers positioned just outside the yard gave repeated commands for the male to drop the knife. He did not comply. Instead, he stood up and advanced toward the officers while still armed.
Victor's family says those commands may not have meant anything to him. He is autistic, nonverbal, and does not understand English.
Autistic, nonverbal, and doesn't understand English. Triple threat.
No, él no entiende inglés. El niño es un nene incapacitado. Él no puede caminar. Él no habla mucho. Él camina, pero no camina normal. Y yo le decía a ellos, mira, no disparen, que es un niño especial. No me hicieron caso, nada.
Despite Luis's plea with officers, police shot Victor.
Como en menos de 3 segundos empezaron a disparar. No dialogaron nada. Bueno, en los videos canta todo.
PPD says Victor was shot 9 times before officers rendered aid.
Él se fue a levantar, ya el niño estaba casi de pie, ahí mismo le dispararon. Se ve la medida porque en el hombro le dieron un tiro. Bajito. Gracias a Dios que no le cogieron la cabeza.
The incident has left his family with questions about why deadly force was used so quickly, especially against a teen with disabilities.
¿Por qué piensas que dispararon ellos?
Yo creo porque no tienen escuela. Y les falta más training.
He said that they need more training. We're going to talk about that training on the other side of this. Let's keep watching.
Y el que le dio training a ellos está más malo que ellos.
But the family is not alone. Community members also speaking out, standing in solidarity with Victor.
I laid down just a couple of flowers for Victor Perez. Because being autistic myself, I thought I'd pay tribute as well.
And for many, the shooting is a call to better understand people on the autism spectrum.
The victim in this case, Victor, he didn't make it. The family pulled him off of life support earlier today. So he passed away. These cops need to be held accountable for this. I understand that the threat was immediate, what they're seeing. But I also think that you need to, before you engage with your firearm, that he was behind the fence. He had just got up. And they're telling you, no. I don't know. Maybe it's a language barrier. They don't speak English. What do we do in this situation? We got a lot of people in the country that don't speak English. And a situation like this happens in Idaho with an autistic kid who's nonverbal, who could barely walk. He got cerebral palsy. And he gets gunned down because the cops assessed the scene as him being an immediate threat because the 911 caller said that he was drunk and on the ground and attacking somebody. The person who called 911, I didn't show y'all in the video, but the person that called 911 actually got interviewed and said he was sorry that he called 911. Can't bring this kid back. This family gotta bury this kid. What do we do in that situation? What kind of training can police have in this situation? They're responding. Is this what kind of, let's play devil's advocate here. The police officers are saying it's justified. At least that's what the police chief is saying. The police union is saying this is completely justified based on the information that they had and the threat, the way that they assessed the threat when they got there. There's a split second, 9 shots had to come out. between, I think it was 4 officers. So now you got another situation where a family is saying, in English, he's nonverbal. I mean, that he can't talk. We're trying to get the knife from him. We're telling you, don't do this. Where's the happy medium in this? Because somebody's going to lose. There's no winners in this situation. Now, in the Tamar Rice situation, they say the cops are justified. Those cops walked. Let's see what happens in this case. I would suspect, based on what the deputy chief is saying, that these cops are effectively going to walk. They're probably going to walk. And this family just lost a family member because somehow or another he got a knife. Don't know how he got a hold of it, who was watching him. Don't know how the, if somebody was supposed to have been paying attention. We already know how autistic people are. This is just a bad situation, though. And this family just lost a loved one. So we'll see. I'll continue to watch that. There's some public outrage about this. People are calling for the police to be held accountable. They want to be held accountable. We'll see what happens out there in Idaho with this case. If this gets any national attention, it was played a little bit on the news, a little bit, but I don't know if it's going to be a lot of outrage. I mean, it was covered nationally, but we'll see if there's going to be any public outrage behind it. I haven't really seen no smoke for it though, but it's interesting that this happened. And then finally, the Siemen case hits home because that happened with a Navy sailor. One of my closest friends, Jason Scott, was like a mentor to Sean, who was the pilot in the helicopter. They were on the Reagan together, and said he loved to fly. When he was in the Navy, that's all he talked about was flying helicopters. And to watch a helicopter completely disintegrate in midair after just taking off, it just don't sit right with me. There has been so many incidents with aviation over the last couple of months. It's almost as if there's no safety and inspections going on no more. Either this equipment is outdated, old, and we use antiquated stuff. Because airplanes are clipping each other, they're colliding with each other, they're falling out of the sky, stuff is blowing off of them, their tires are blowing out, they're flipping upside down. We got helicopters crashing, we got planes crashing. And we just had the situation in Manhattan where you have the CEO of the Spanish, I guess you would say the Spanish region of Siemen. Him and his wife and their kids, along with Sean, tragically lost their life when their helicopter went down in the Hudson River in New York.
That deadly crash where it appears the helicopter rotor blades detached from the fuselage. The NTSB says flights like these have been a safety concern for years. New CCTV footage showing truly shocking images. The helicopter flying over the Hudson River, passing behind a building until in the top middle of your screen, you see it in distress, falling at a precarious angle toward the river, breaking apart in midair.
It fell apart in midair. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see this? Just take a look at it again. Let's take a look at this.
Passing behind a building until in the top middle of your screen, you see it in...
Look at it. It is already falling apart. That's the piece that's coming off of it. That's another piece right there. You heard it shaking and rattling and rolling, whatever it was doing.
Distress, falling at a
Then look at it. Look at it right there. Another piece. Another piece. Complete. Just the whole thing just came apart.
Precarious angle toward the river, breaking apart in midair. We've stopped the video before the crash that killed all 6 people aboard.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Another video shows the rotor blades fully detached, spinning toward the water. The bystander recording video in total disbelief. The National Transportation Safety Board now taking lead on the investigation into the crash, saying safety on sightseeing flights like this has been a long-term concern.
Safety on flights like this has been a concern for a while. This is not looking like a pilot error. This is looking like maintenance was not being done properly.
Do believe that they should be regulated. We have issued recommendations in the past.
The pilot, identified as 36-year-old Sean Johnson from Chicago. According to these Facebook posts, he's trained and worked in a number of different states as a helicopter pilot, working as an aerial firefighter pilot last year. And before his New York pilot career, he was working here in Chicago as a pilot for a helicopter tour company. The I-Team reached out to Fly Heli, and they had no comment. Nico Tiapula says he served with Johnson in the Navy on the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier for 3 years.
Everyone that he has ever been around with, he's always been very nice, very outgoing.
Tiapula says Johnson trained at Naval Station Great Lakes and grew up on the south side of the city. His friend group utterly devastated by the...
Something happened. Something happened. Now here's my theory. No, this ain't have nothing to do with the pilot. And I actually saw Ann Coulter. She actually asked the question, why did they try to hide the photo of the person who was flying the helicopter? There is no way in hell. And I don't want to hear nothing about no DE&I. I wish I would see somebody talking about that in this case. This man had over 700 flight hours and a lot of extensive experience flying helicopters. This wasn't no DE&I hire. This ain't somebody who just got up in the air and just started flying. This man had been flying for a while. This helicopter completely disintegrated. Somebody didn't do an inspection. Somebody didn't do the maintenance on this helicopter. This helicopter had been up that day. They said this was the 6th time that it had been up in the air. So every time it comes back, it's supposed to get checked. They have the pre-checks. Make sure everything's working well. He had already radioed in, and then this is what the narrative is that the company tried to say. Well, he said that he was going to need fuel. He said he was going to need fuel after this helicopter tour. After this one, they were going to have to refuel. Don't know how many times they go up in the air every single day. But in this case, this helicopter completely fell apart. The tail rotor came off, and then the main rotor came off. And it just hit the ground. Boom. Died on impact. The situation with Kobe Bryant, when he tragically lost his life, it was low visibility. They got kind of caught up on the cliff. Too low down in altitude. A little too low. This one, helicopter completely fell apart. You got the aviation community is in a lot of hurt. You got a whistleblower with Boeing. I see you there, Hood Council. You got a whistleblower with Boeing who got clipped. He was getting ready to tell on all this stuff was going on in the aviation community. They made the CEO step down. He had to resign. There's something going on in our aviation community. There's a lot of cutting of corners being done. And then maybe this was because of all the regulations that were on the aviation community. And now we're seeing that maybe these regulations were supposed to be there, and that you're playing with people's lives. We all like to, travel in the air, but we are taking a risk every single time. We take a risk every single time we walk out the door. We take a risk, when we're driving our cars. But in this situation, we're in the air, and we're trusting that the people who signed off on those inspections are saying that these aircraft are fit to be 30,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 1,000 feet up in the air with us in them. We're literally putting faith in the fact that a machine that is going up in the air is going to keep us up there like it's supposed to. And we should be able to travel around in it. This man took this helicopter up with this family, and now they're gone. So either it was maintenance malpractice. The team is responsible who didn't do their jobs and somebody lost their life, or this was intentional. And Sean lost his life because of it. Like, this was an organized hit. It could be that too. We don't know. But it's mighty odd the way that this helicopter fell out the sky. You don't see helicopters falling out the sky, at least like this. Sometimes you'll see if they got hit, they'll start spinning around and going crazy. And usually they have enough steering control where they can control it. There was no control in this. The rotors fell off. They were just sitting dust. It just flew. That was instant. That happened very, very... They fell out the sky instantly. Instantly. We have people losing their lives tragically in these incidents that don't make any sense. This man was taking his family on a helicopter ride around New York to see New York skyline, and they lost their life because of it. So, but I definitely don't want to see no DE&I stuff. There's no way in hell nobody can blame Sean for this. This is hopefully the NSTB or the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Bureau, could do a thorough investigation to find out exactly what happened in this instance and find out who actually is liable. Because this is tragic, and I know that Sean's family gonna want answers, just like the CEO of Siemen's, his family, his extended family, is gonna want answers as to what happened, and we should get answers as American people, because some of us want to take trips like this as well. Want to take helicopter rides around skylines. My wife wanted to do it with me. She wanted to do it for my birthday, and I was like, no. She had got the little trip and everything. We was gonna fly around the city in the helicopter. No, not right now. Not right now. I don't trust it. There needs to be some regulations and some standards. This is. I don't want to be up there and be the next one. So. But condolences to the families of both Sean and the CEO of Siemen. So, and that does it for the show tonight. We'll be back Thursday night at 8 p.m. Shout out to my homeboy, the Hood Council. I saw him in there. Y'all go check out his podcast, man. Joseph Podcast on Facebook and coming to YouTube. And so y'all go check them out. Joseph Podcast. Y'all go check them out. That's JOCING. Joseph. Go check them out. But I'll see y'all Thursday night. Like, share, and subscribe. Send this out to your people. let's run these. Like I said, let's run these numbers up. Until next time, Culture Nation. Let's keep it culture. See you on Thursday.